AMG episode number 77. I am here with the collector, the scallops collector, the people. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just me and you today, buddy.
Yeah, so it would seem. Blair is off frolicking wherever Blair frolics. Who can say? We have no
Yeah,
idea.
we'll probably see him again in September. He tends to disappear once the weather gets warmer.
Well, last week I think he poured out all his emotional energy into the Alex Faulkner tribute. So there was that aspect of it. So I'm not sure he has the emotional energy at this point. He just needs to go out there and recharge wherever he goes.
Definitely needs a reprieve, and hopefully he'll come back well rested, full of positive thoughts.
So good news is we still have a couple of things we're going to talk about. We're going to briefly touch on some of the stuff for the Spring Expo, the Toronto Spring Expo. One thing that I'll touch on, I will include a link to the Spring Expo website because they have updated it with a lot of the new stuff. So if you're interested in some of that information, we'll touch on it briefly. The other thing as well is that SP Game Use, so 2425 SP Game Use will be the main one that we'll feature in this particular case. And then we'll touch on some of the comments from the last episode as well. But before we do, real quick, the trade night didn't happen because the Friday was Good Friday, but on Saturday there was the card show. So do you want to give me a little rundown on how the card show went, Steve?
Yeah, the last two shows, for whatever reason, I know, Pokemon is extremely hot right now, but the volume of people that have been coming to the shows, hopefully that's a sign of things to come. But traffic has been phenomenal, and we are now being inundated with requests for tables. So hopefully we can accommodate everyone. There is a bit of a wait list, but people will bow out of the show as things happen in their personal lives. So those on standby will just have to be ready at any given notice to next man up, so to speak. So we did have a few cancellations last show, and we were able to fill them. So again, if you can't make the show and you have a table book, be sure to let us know ASAP, because we do want to fill those spots with people that are patiently waiting. But another great show. There was a couple times throughout the day. Sherry wasn't here, but she was spying on us from the cameras, and she sent me a couple screenshots of just the people in the store, and it was something else. I actually was bouncing all over the place trying to serve as many people as I could. But it was overwhelming, the support, and the collecting community and AMG definitely appreciates it.
Absolutely. So it's always good. Obviously, the community involvement has been very good. It's been steadily building, which is good for the vendors. It's good for the mall. It's good for the vendors. It's good for everybody that it keeps it active, and it also keeps the local scene hopping, which is good. All those things are very good things. So definitely, we'll keep you all posted on those. Again, that was a little different schedule than normal because of the Spring Expo, which we'll touch on here in a moment. But I'll read some of your comments from the last episode, and then we'll do a little quick Spring Expo discussion. What I'll do then is we'll do the 2024-25 SP Game Use. I'll do the breakdown first, and if we've got a little time left, then I'll go over a couple of cards that showed in the store. So we'll base the time based on that. So from the last episode here, we got a couple different comments. So Gotham is back. Great video as always. Go Sens go. So appreciate that. And the Sens are in the playoffs in the Battle of Ontario. So we do have that included in there.
Briefly.
Yes. Well, good luck with it. I did enjoy, though. I was joking with one of the guys on one of the Discords I'm on. We were briefly joking about that during the hockey thing because he was doing some wagers on the different components of the Ottawa and Toronto series. And I just said, you should have included in your parlay an over-under on how many times they referenced the old Battle of Ontario's from the late 90s and early 2000s. Whatever the number is, pick the over. Pick the super over. I'm sure they'll bring it up quite a number of times. I remember those. It was like almost an annual thing. It was Ottawa and Toronto playing each other over and over and over again. It was always kind of this thing that always kept coming up. So Rob here says, great story, Blair. To me, that's what collecting is about, a reference to Blair's tribute to Alex Faulkner. So very good. And obviously showcasing some of Blair's collecting. So thank you for that. Sheila Pickram, nice story, Blair.
Oh, Sheila chiming
in the comments section, no less. So there you go. That's how significant, that's how strong the Alex Faulkner tribute was. See, there you go. And then Sanderson de Orr here said, Carlos, in reference to my speaking truths about a lot of the things. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was basically my reference to the Bobby Orr minor league rookie. And as a Boston Bruins fan, he doesn't take quite so kindly to it. I spoke nothing but truth, Steve. I only
Mhm.
recall facts during that entire section, but it is what it is. So nonetheless, there was one here though that was a good question. So Canadian Cards here said, "I want to hear a quick story about each one of you guys' favorite story about ripping their first pack." So this is an interesting one because I don't specifically remember my first pack, but I could probably be pretty close. I'd have to think about that one. So I'll go first here. So for them, it says for me, I found a 91 Pro Set pack and pulled a Nicholas Lidstrom rookie, pretty solid. So for me, I was a baseball guy first. So my first pack would have been right around probably 91 Donruss. And while I don't remember specifically what was in the first pack, there's a good chance there was an Eddie Murray in it because I ended up with about 9 or 10 of them from packs. Carlos Sr. Bought them at a pharmacy, and he would buy these. And they had Series 1 and Series 2, and it's the green and the blue. And at the time, I think both series were already out. And I think they're still producing 91 Donruss to this very day. So if I really want to relive that moment, I certainly can because they're still making them. And those boxes are basically holding up tables around from one side of this world to the other.
Mhm. Interesting.
Mhm.
Uh, I never really gave this much thought before, so I guess that's a good question. And I don't necessarily remember how young I was when I started collecting, although I don't anymore. But I think I was probably living in Truro, Nova Scotia, and we actually lived in an apartment at the time above a variety store. So
Mm.
every time we could get a quarter together or a dollar, we would go down to the corner store, and I believe it was probably the sticker albums, like the
Mm.
early '80s sticker albums, because they were the cheapest. Um, I can't remember what the packs were, 15 or 25 cents, but I do remember completing those albums. And then, of course, just the early '80s cards where every other pack, you would pull someone that was relevant, because Gretzky had so many cards in those early '80s sets. So you're pulling his goal leader, assist leader, all his cards. So I remember it was the perfect time to collect. And I guess I wish I had all those cards now. I don't necessarily recall what I did with the majority of them. I do remember at one point, I think I was a senior in high school, I sold what I had left of my cards to my father because he was just starting to get involved at the time. So I was a
Mm.
senior in high school, and I would probably rather enjoy my social life as a senior. So I sold my Messiers and Borks and all those Gretzky league leaders back in late '80s, early '90s.
Nice. Well, there you go. Good question, though. Appreciate it. Taking a little different angle on it and throwing that one in there. So, excellent questions, excellent comments. If it's something that's not time sensitive, you're always welcome to include in the comment section. I went over the different ones, so thank you all for participating in that. If it is something more pressing, though, if you do need a response on something a little bit more, especially when we talk about, we're going to talk about SP game use, but if you need to find out about anything related to availability or pricing, you need a little information on that, reach out directly to the store. Use the contact points down there. Either it's the one in the scrolling ticker, but in the description, we're also including some of that information as well. So you can feel free to use either one of those things, but that's the best way to get a quicker answer if you need something more specific. If it's not as time sensitive and you're okay waiting a little while until the following episode, then feel free to throw it in the comment section and we'll get to it usually in the following episode. So, with that said, covered all the comments. So, thank you all for that. Let me quickly go over a couple of the products that are coming in the store. Like I said, SP Game Use, we already talked about. We're going to discuss that here in a moment, but I'll go through some of the other ones here. 2024 Panini Football Absolute Fat Pack. So, Absolute being the brand on that one. 2024 Panini WNBA Prism Basketball Blaster Boxes. 2025 Panini Donruss EuroLeague Basketball. 2025 Panini Prism Basketball Blaster as well. So, WNBA and NBA Blasters. 2025 Panini Prism Basketball International, 2024 National Treasures Racing, Pokemon EX Battle Deck Dragpult. Can't help you there. Don't know too much about that. Pokemon Premium Tournament Collection Lily? Question mark. I guess that's another form factor on there. So a couple of other Pokemon products on there. Again, if you got questions and everything, reach out directly to the store. That's probably your best bet. Then you'll find out availability and pricing on that. And like I said, 2025 SP Game Use Hockey, which will be the main one that I'll feature here in a moment. So those are a couple of ones that are coming in. Want to make sure we touched on that. Okay. So let's talk about SP Game Use. So this one is one of the more traditional ones. I did see that on a recent episode of the Hockey Cards Gong Show, they got a question kind of about this. So just high level, I'll quickly touch on this. Um, the question was basically related to SP and the different iterations of it: SP, SPX, SP Game Used, etc. SP Authentic. SP was basically the first one that Upper Deck did. That was the early days. When it comes to it, though, there were various offshoots that came of it. So, speaking specifically with this one, SP Game Used originally came about as a result, as a way to kind of, to be blunt, dump some of the game used material they had. This was an avenue for them because, and I'm just telling you this from having had conversations with people that would know, I'll just put it that way. Uh, a lot of times they had contracts and things, and in any kind of a business, you are expected to use, especially if you pay for material or pay for something that you're using, you don't want it to go to waste, so to speak. Well, a lot of times you have contracts and limits. You're supposed to keep stuff for a certain amount of time, or you're buying all this material and it's using up space, and your expectation is use it. Well, at a certain point, SP Game Use became a way for them to be like, hey, look at all this game use material we have. How do we use it if it doesn't fit neatly into one of the other sets we're doing? Well, SP Game Use became the answer. It became a way of being like, okay, we're going to use all kinds of game use material and jerseys, sticks and patches and all kinds of stuff. And by doing it this way, it gave us an outlet to be able to utilize all that without it going to waste, if that makes sense. So that was the origination of kind of this product. Moved to today, and we came up with a whole bunch of interesting stuff in terms of how we approach this. But hopefully people appreciate that brief history lesson, Steve. At the end of the day, this was kind of a means to an end originally. That's why this came into being in the first place.
Interesting logic. I didn't know, jerseys had expiry dates on them, like a carton of milk, but sure, makes sense.
Well, basically what it was, so just put a long story short, is that when they would do it, they would buy the jersey. They'd spend X amount. But the expectation was, okay, but we're not going to keep this forever. We don't actually want to keep it forever. We paid this money. This money's been spent. So we'd like to get our value out of it. So please put it in a product one way or the other. And after enough time goes by, basically it was the bean counters that would tell them like, hey guys, you bought this like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, use it. Use it for something because we already paid for it and the money's been spent. We want to get our money back for it, so to speak. So that's kind of the high level logic on that, because otherwise, then you're buying more and more material. You just keep building this library of material for what? At a certain point, you're like, well, we got to use it for something.
Yep.
So that's what it came as part of it. So here it is hits heavy because obviously, game used, and that's kind of the way that goes into it. First 100 cards are standard base, landing one per pack, joining them 82 authentic rookies, 1.25 packs. So what you're looking at is basically this. Generally, it's a fairly clean design, pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. But a lot of times the base and the parallels aren't really what most people are looking for, but they do nonetheless have them on there. So you've got the red parallels are included, gold number to 149, rainbow number to a player's jersey number. So that's kind of an interesting one if you want to have a bit of a chase. Purples out of 5, and then green 1 of 1s. Rookies also have crystal versions as well. Then we get into base cards and authentic rookies. They've got autograph and memorabilia versions as well. So there's an example of an authentic rookies. Again, a mock-up there just to show you what it looks like. And then you start kind of lumping a lot of these and adding components to it. Now, one thing I'll tell you, just to be 100% honest with you, the memorabilia pieces are where it gets interesting. A lot of the regular memorabilia pieces, though, are basically almost like parallels off the base. So like you take almost the base design and then you add an opening for the jersey, or you put a sticker on it for an autograph. A lot of times a sticker, to be honest with you. And then they put different combinations therein. So that's something to look for. So these are event-specific memorabilia cards here. So in this case, you're looking at uniforms from the Heritage Classic, the Winter Classic and Stadium Series. Good news is you can have some really nice patch pieces like that mock-up right there. You're seeing some interesting patch pieces because you've got some very unique, specific event-related stuff that you can have on there that isn't available in another product from them. So they kind of save it for this one.
Yeah.
So you can see all.
That's cool.
And I think something like this, if you pulled something like that, I think you'd be very happy because you're getting a nice looking patch. It's Connor McDavid, pretty solid across the board. You've also got NHL All-Star mascot fabric cards. I'm not going to say anything. From my look on my face.
They're surprisingly popular, though.
I agree with this.
Yeah.
I got questions, but I agree with the statement that you have stated. Yes, I agree with this. All of them have patch parallels numbered to 35 and logo patch cards with 2 copies each. So again, there are parallels that are increasingly limited. That's included in there. Puck pieces and net cords are available. Then there's Stanley Cup net cords out of 35. Banner year relics are another one. This one is literally a piece of a large banner. So, like for all-star games, Stanley Cup Finals, Global Series. So they've got those banners that are included as part of the event. They've cut up pieces of these banners and included them on the cards. So they are using some non-standard kind of game used memorabilia or event used memorabilia, if you will, and including them in these cards.
I'm seeing that draft day marks there. I'm just curious. I'd like to know what's the longest name like that has to be spelled out in one of these. Is there like a 15-letter name of someone in the NHL? That'd be kind of interesting to see.
See, if it was just football, you could probably get somebody with a hyphenated name, and then you'd really have some fun because
try to find
really,
the hyphen.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be all part of it. Yeah. NHL draft swag out of 100 has a variety of different things that players wore. Parallels include a hat out of 25 and a tie. So they've even got a tie relic. So they really go into all categories and depth. So these days, when you talk about SB game use, they've come up with all kinds of stuff for it. So you've got your draft day marks returned. They are manufactured letter patches, though. And this is an important distinction because back in the day, there have been ones that are game used. These ones, they literally want to build that nameplate for you. So that's, the draw. And a lot of times the chase for folks is to build out the full nameplate. Some of the hardcore collectors will do that. They are manufactured letter patches, but you can't spell out the names. There are Hall of Fame marks also available. They're numbered 35 for those specific ones. So that's included in there. So just bear that in mind. They are manufactured. They're not game used. So don't be fooled by that. But they are nice autograph pieces if you're interested in chasing them, and you can build out the whole nameplate if that's a challenge you want to chase. So just keep that in mind. Now, this one here is, I feel like Upper Deck is contractually required to do something that just makes me go, And for this one, it is a glove relics card. They call it websites. Steve, listen, sometimes I want to be nice here, but sometimes, Steve, I almost feel like I wish in the soundboard I had groans.
I like it, but yeah, we could do something else with the name, I think.
Yeah, Steve, the card concept I'm fine with, but websites is like, did we really have? We didn't have to. I don't think it was required. We could have thought it and then not done it.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there. The card itself looks fine. From the markup, the card itself looks fine, and if you pull one, I'm sure you'll be very happy. But there are sometimes. Next up, Supreme patches, which are extremely popular. They're very nice. The Supreme patches are quite nice. Supreme materials also quite good. Rookie jumbo patches out of 25. So there you go. So generally speaking, you get a nice swatch piece. You get a nice size swatch there, and you can usually put together. This mock-up, of course, is like an ideal for Stankoven in this case. Unfortunately, though, Stankoven is now in Carolina, so it's a little out of date. However, conceptually, if you get a card that looks like this with a nice big piece of the patch on there, you can get some really nice pieces, and some of those are very, very popular, especially with collectors for some of these people or teams. All right, other hits include frameworks, 1 in 36 packs, rookie sweaters, inked sweaters in general out of 35, and then stick to it out of 25, stick card, new grooves 1 in 5 or 1 in 2 standard sets, insert sets. So they have red, 1 in 10 packs, gold out of 99, rainbow out of 10, purple out of 5, and green 1 of 1. So you do have a fair number of parallels. Like the base set, there's a variety of autograph and memorabilia as well. Visible Prism is a final insert set. They have 1 parallel white, which is numbered to 10. So inside, you get 9 cards per pack, 1 pack per box. So it's a 1-pack box. You get 9 cards inside of it, 20 boxes per case. So 2 10-box inners. And the set size overall is 280 cards. And what you're looking for, expect in a hobby box. Autographs, memorabilia, or premium inserts, you expect to get 4 per box, 2 parallels in that box, and then base cards, base authentic rookies or new grooves, 3 total to comprise the 9 cards of the box. It is a feast or famine hit-based product. We will leave a link in the description to this for you so that you can check it out and be able to follow through and check, which people are in the checklist. If you want to collect by team, by player, whatever the case is, you'll be able to use that on here. And you do have autograph tabs, memorabilia tabs, inserts, the whole 9 yards. And they do have update cards, as is oftentimes the case. So here you've got 21-22 game used, draft day marks, 22-23, 23-24. So you've got 3 different years of updates included in this with different people on it. So a lot of these updates have been included in a lot of these, so you can find that out. And as far as base autographs, there's usually quite a bit, but use the checklist to make sure. And some of them are super short printed. So, like for example, this Connor McDavid is a super short print. Obviously, some of these are going to be tougher, but you've also got, contractually obligated. You got to have a Medano in there always.
There he is.
Yep. But at least he's not super short printed like Dougie Gilmore. So, like, it could be worse. So, some of these are going to be tougher than others, but check out the checklist. You'll see. There's current players and there's also legends. There's also retired players. It's all over the map. Rookies and all the way through legends. Okay. Perfect. So that's not on there, and you can use the link to check it out more. I do recommend it because that checklist is fairly extensive. Let's go in here. So any other thoughts on that one? SB Authentic is not a new product. It's been used quite a number of times. How is it usually received for you guys? Is it usually one of the ones that people kind of are into?
Yeah, I mean, if you're you like your patch autos and your memorabilia cards, that sort of thing, it's a good product, and then it's not as expensive as a product like Premier or Black Diamond sort of thing. I am looking at the invoice here and see it's tariff adjusted, so it might be a touch more expensive than in the past, but not crazy. But that's the world we live in at the moment. But and we've got a good allotment of it as well, so everyone should be able to grab a box.
Very nice, very nice. So I've got a couple of cards here that we're going to share. So Steve was nice enough to pass a few along. So we've got a nice mix of items here. I've kind of sorted it out here so that we can get a bit of a look at it. And we'll kind of go with that here to finish things up today. So let's take a bit of a look. And then we'll finish up with a couple of tips, just expo tips, high levels just for you. Okay, so real quick, I'll go through a couple of these. 2020 Panini Select Tyrese Halliburton, rookie selection, so gold. So that should be the out of 10. So with the rookie logo, the gold out of 10. So pretty solid there. A couple of LeBron James rookie cards here. 0304 Topps Chrome LeBron James. So that's a base Chrome. And then your 0304 Bowman LeBron James included as well. Both in BGS 9s.
Yeah, no, they just, as soon as we opened Saturday morning, you never know what's going to walk in the store. And it was just an older gentleman that didn't necessarily fit the profile of someone that was a basketball collector. So when he dropped them in front of me, I kind of did the double take. And but of course, always love to pick up LeBron rookies. And time's flying by. These cards weren't printed yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of weird that he's still in the league. Obviously, a lot of, he's been a polarizing figure for a long time, but you kind of do have to appreciate that these are 0304 and we're in 2025 and he's still playing. Mm-hmm. And he's still a relevant player. He hasn't been, taken out to pasture. He'll kind of retire when he wants to, but realistically, like, he's still around and he's still causing a stir, causing an impact in whatever he's doing until he decides. It'll be, I think it's funny. I made the comment before. A lot of people complain. But when he finally does retire, a lot of people are going to run out of, are not going to have a certain player to complain about. And they're going to find it's going to get a little boring for some of them because it's like, okay, so where do you put your attention now?
Yep.
It's helpful to have a villain the same way that it is to have a, a hero. Kind of both work. Here's a Jeremy Swayman from SPX. So number to 25. You got an autograph there. A nice patch piece on this one, actually. I do like that.
Yeah, it needs to work on the autograph a little bit, but definitely like the patch.
Mm-hmm. Here's a Connor McDavid autograph here from 1617 Upper Deck Premier. This is a Platinum Spectrum. So this is in a Beckett 8.5. So a fair bit of Beckett on this one. 10 autograph based on Beckett. And then we've got 3 8.5 subgrades and 9.5 on centering. But Connor McDavid out of 5 on this one as well. So from Upper Deck Premier, it's a nice card. Early Connor McDavid. I don't think this is rookie. I think this is second year.
Second year and numbered out of 5. So
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's odd. Like you said, a lot of Beckett. I guess it was a Beckett week. People kept bringing, Beckett authenticated items, which is fine. We'll buy those just the same as PSA items.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So here we go. 2020 Panini Impeccable. So Jalen Hurts, appropriate with the Super Bowl. You got the rookie patch auto here, mint 9 with an auto of 10. So, not the craziest autograph, but a very neat one. I do like the patch piece on this one. So numbered to 99 with Impeccable here. And then we're finishing off with 3 football. So we've got the Jalen Hurts first, and then I saved these to the end because I thought it'd be kind of fun. I did mention it on my live stream yesterday. So we're starting off with 1950 Bowman Sammy Baugh, A very clean image, though, I must say. Good, clean image on this one. A very classic image looking off. We're doing a little bit of a majestic look off into the distance, Steve.
Yeah. And again, these just came in yesterday and not super expensive, but for a 3, nice and clean. And of course, these guys are Hall of Famers. So we'll definitely take those anytime we can provide those to our customers. But it looks great. It looks a lot nicer than a 3.
Mm-hmm. So what's good about this one? Clean image on this one. Love that. Love a good look. With the image itself is great with the helmet and all that, all going into it. But also, what I like about it is we're not sitting there going to measuring it down to the millimeter. We're not pretending it's 50-50 centering. But I like the fact that it's reasonably well centered. Like you can actually see a border on all 4 sides, and you got it on there, and it's reasonably nicely framed. And even in a 3, that's looking pretty solid.
Yeah.
So here we got Otto Graham, so 1951. So a couple of fun things about this one. Again, great image on this one. Not perfectly centered. This one's a little bit more off center, but still a good, clean cut looking copy. This one's in a 4. Clean image again as well. And we do love the old school Browns logo.
Yeah, and he's got that scowl on his face too. I wonder what he's looking at.
Yeah. Great hair though. Great hair.
It kind of looks like Blair. Is that Blair? I think that's Blair.
Let me tell you, it's working out. But I also like the fact that the Browns logo is like a Keebler elf.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like it's you got the old school logo on there. So 51 Bowman in football, especially, you got kind of a fun thing because obviously you got the name on there, plenty of room for the image, which is great. But then, yeah, you've got a lot of these old school logos. Some of them look very interesting. Check them out if you get a chance to take a look at some of the 51 Bowman football. You'll see some of the fun logos on it, and it's very interesting what they throw in there. And it looks like he's got like a little crown going, and there's a couple of things happening over here. Very interesting, very interesting. But a cool looking card and a great one to finish off for this week. So very nicely done. So good stuff, Steve. Appreciate that. All right, a couple of minutes here, and then we'll call this one an episode. So as I said, this is Expo week. So we're recording this, and we're going to drop this on Wednesday, and then starting Thursday is VIP night at the Spring Expo. So I think it's going to be kind of fun. Short week for me at work, and then starting on Thursday I'll be there. I'll try to chronicle some stuff there for folks. We'll see if we can incorporate some of this stuff on the channel, but it is going to be different. No Blair, no Steve. It is going to be focused though more on boxes. Is there anything notable that would be worth mentioning, stuff that's going to be brought over?
Yeah, so while we're talking, I can see Brad bouncing around out there. The Packups begun. I believe they fly out today, and the truck leaves for Toronto as well. But since I'm not going, Sherry's going to be running the booth, and then there's a couple local guys that help us a lot that are going to be kind of helping Sherry. But we basically are taking mostly older wax boxes. Like I believe there's a case of Series 2 2005 Upper Deck blasters going, and McDavid year, Matthews year. So we'll have a lot of like older flagship unopened product available, and it's all just price, so it helps Sherry out as far as it's not like she has to check comps on cards coming and going. We're just going to be up there hopefully moving a lot of wax. There's some newer products, maybe just like in the past, things that are a little slow moving in this region that we'll try to turn into something that we know will move down here. I believe we do have some singles. We bought a large collection last month, and we just want to sell it as a collection to see how, make sure we get our money back. So they'll be sold individually, but actually every sale obviously goes towards the cost of that collection. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves. And of course, there's a little bit of old baseball, old hockey, new stuff. So it's a little more organized, I guess. Everything's kind of priced out, and away she goes. And I expect Sherry to sell everything. And for the guys that are keeping an eye on her, keep her safe and take care of her. So, because it could get busy up there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, do we know? I can always double check. Obviously, we'll defer everybody to the social medias. Do we happen to know the booth numbers, or is that not something we have yet?
They probably have it yet, but since I'm not invited, I don't want to know. So,
There you go.
but no,
So,
since Blair's had a vacation, so I'm staying to run the store. But I actually, the store's been so busy lately that definitely, I'm needed here more so than up in Toronto right now. Um, Buying's been good here, and just the traffic through the store has been amazing lately. So Parker and I will be running the store, and then there's a couple younger guys that chip in with a few hours here and there. So um, definitely looking forward to those guys having a great show. But I'm fine hanging out here for the week.
mhm. Fair enough. What I will do is I'll confirm with the team, and then in the description of this episode, I'll include the booth numbers. So once we confirm the booth numbers, I'll include them in there. Obviously, they'll be included in the social media posts as well. I'll be around there, and if they need it, I'll come in and chip in, and also give folks a little bit of a heads up. So we'll see if we can include some stuff on the channel related to it, just to give everybody a heads up, so they know what's going on. Because obviously the show is a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on, but there's a lot of craziness. It does get busy, but we'll take advantage of the little windows here where we can, and keep everybody posted on where everything is. And you can always check out the expo website, which will also be included in the description, so you can check out the floor plan. So real quick, I want to finish off with one or two kind of quick tips. Here are my quick tips, kind of my pro tips for this. Number one, you can access the floor plan. It is available right now as we speak. I'm looking over to it on my other screen here. So PSA is over in the corner where Fanatics collects. So quickly you can find that based on where Hall 3 is. KD Collectibles is across from them, who obviously is an authorized PSA submitter as well. So they're directly across from each other. So that's easy to find. My recommendation, use a lot of these larger booths as landmarks to help you get around. There are booth numbers, and the booth numbers are generally right underneath the tables, but sometimes they're hard to see with the table skirt kind of covering them up. So that's why I recommend using the landmarks to help you get to the correct hall and to be in the right area. You can find stuff a lot easier if you know it in relation to some of the landmarks. And there are a number of them. Beckett has a big booth. PSA has its thing. KSA and Mint are down the lane from that. But then on the other side of it, you got the Upper Deck booth has got its section to it. Klutz and Chara, Pather's got a gigantic thing in there. So as soon as you start figuring out where these things are, you can completely orient yourself all the way around the entire show floor. So that's a recommendation to you, just to make your life easier. Second thing to make your life easier, when it comes to food time, the food has gotten a lot better the last couple of years in the convention center. However, if you would like to be economically sound, you can go outside, go across the parking lot. There's a plaza just over there. You got Firehouse Subs, and you've got a little plaza there with the Tim Hortons and A&W. There's a bunch of stuff in there. Yes, I know Steve's very passionate about the Firehouse Subs.
That's my only regret. I will miss out on Firehouse Subs this weekend.
Yes. But the point is, all those things that I just named off, they're all normally priced. So you're actually able to get the food at a normal price as opposed to paying convention pricing. So if you can afford it, burn a couple extra calories, walking across the parking lot, but you will save a little bit of money if you want to take a couple of minutes off the show floor. If you really want to stick in the area, by all means, I'm not going to tell you no, but it's just a pro tip for you for folks who may not go to the expo, that is available there for you, and you can get at a reasonable price, and you'll eat pretty good. All things considered, you'll eat pretty good, and it's not far. So just throwing that in there. Any other tips you want to throw in there, Steve, just to help people out?
Yeah, kind of touched on before. One would be patience, two would be good footwear, and three would be stay hydrated, because it's a long day, and it's important to have all three of those things. Staying hydrated, it does get a little dry in there, and you're going to be walking, and it gets warm, and then you're going to need some patience, because people are going to be bumping into you or cutting in front of your deal. But yeah, no, just enjoy the day, and yeah, keep that in mind.
Okay. And one thing I'll throw in there, just piggybacking off of that, you can bring in snacks if you want. You can bring a lunch, you can bring some snacks, you can bring in one of those big water bottles if you like. You can do that. And some people do. Like if you have the opportunity to prepare to do that, yeah, throw it in your bag or your backpack or whatever it is, and you can do that in there. And I think you do have some fountains where you could refill a drink if you needed to. So I think you do have the option to do that in some of
Yeah,
these
and
halls.
I guess we probably should touch on too, just in recent shows and that there has been some thefts. So I
Mhm.
guess for attendees, keep your eyes open. If you see something um, that doesn't look right, it probably isn't. So I don't know if that means digging your phone out and maybe taking a quick photo of something, or telling someone. But there's a lot of money in that room, and wherever there's money, there you'll find some dishonest people. So I guess just, and in life in general, just be aware of your surroundings. And if it doesn't look right, good chance it isn't.
Mhm. Absolutely. No, that's fair. And one, so last thing that I'll throw then at you before we call it an episode is in that same vein. If you want to also kind of safeguard your own stuff, recommendation for you, don't leave a bag like away from you.
Mhm.
Again, just speaking as somebody who's been to a lot of these shows, usually I have a backpack and where I keep my stuff in a bag, but if you have the luxury of being able to drop it off somewhere where you're a trusted place, that's awesome. If you don't, but you're a regular attendee and you're walking the floor, I recommend put it right beside your leg or between your legs while you're
Mhm.
there. Make it more difficult for someone to basically abscond with your bag. If your bag is physically removed from you, it's a lot easier for someone to grab it and kind of take off with it. So I recommend kind of keeping it closer to your person where it's a little more obvious if someone is trying to jostle or move a bag away from you.
Mhm.
General safety tip. Just as far as I could make it more difficult. Don't make it easy for someone to try to take something from you.
Yeah.
So a couple of tips for you guys. Again, not the stuff we would necessarily want to be talking about too much, but in the interest of giving you information, I think it's worthwhile to kind of mention that to you. Okay, and hopefully have some fun. If you do check out the AMG folks, say hello. They always appreciate it, and just bear in mind that they are there to kind of do some business. But of course, if there's time and they can chat with you, then certainly they will. But it's just a matter of timing and everything. Timing is everything, like in all other places. Otherwise, we'll have a little bit of fun. It should be a good time for folks there, and hopefully, we get a chance to see some of you out at the expo. So that'll be it for this one. We'll be back with more episodes down the road here. There may be some more stuff on the channel if the opportunity presents itself. No promises, but if we're able to do something on there for the expo, we will. Otherwise, we'll give you a little bit of a recap and a debrief on the next episode. So we'll touch on that. Feel free to leave comments or questions, anything related to it, put it in the comment section. If it's more time sensitive, use the contact points we talked about. And otherwise, you'll get links to the expo and you'll get links also to the checklist for 24-25 SP game use. So you can check that out for yourself. So for Steve, collecting the scalps, collecting the people, and for us, the folks at AMG, thank you for checking this one out, and we'll catch you in the next one.